You're watching AAU Talks on AAU TV, the voice of higher education in Africa. My name is Ajiman Otrodako, and today is another big conversation on e-learning. And I'm going to be talking with a tech enthusiast, social entrepreneur, and someone who has been creating access to technology for people for over 15 years. And he is the CEO of the eLearn Africa LMS platform, which is partnered with AAU and has been doing a lot of work from 2021 down to 2024. And today we're looking at a new initiative called the eLearn Summit that he has more information to on why there's a summit and what is the inspiration behind the summit and the objective. So don't go anywhere. I'll be talking to him shortly after this short break. Be with us right back.
Are you a student seeking to pursue a master's degree program but is constrained by location, time, or simply a hectic schedule? Are you a university or college unable to create or digitize your own master's degree programs due to expertise or funding constraints? AAU eLearn Africa LMS has the answer to all your online education needs. Develop your online master's degree programs now at a totally free cost on a platform that is highly customized and secured. The platform's analytic and proctoring feature, calendar with automatic alerts for activities and to-do list, automatic marking of tests in a variety of formats, optional peer review of written assignments, plugin feature, and several more features are only a few of its important functionalities. With the availability of highly skilled and experienced instructional designers and other staff, universities are assured of online degree programs that meet international standards. Online education provides African universities with competitive positioning, scalable access, multiple nodes, multiple modes of communication, virtual collaboration, and a wider selection of programs. Consequently, online master's degree programs have become a viable option for higher education in Africa due to challenges such as infrastructure, graduate output, and lack of funding. Therefore, partnerships and collaboration between enterprises and academic institutions are needed. Admissions are open for the online degrees with Rhodes Business School South Africa and Njala University Sierra Leone. Also, institutions interested in partnering with us to develop their own online master's degree programs should submit an expression of interest. AAU eLearn Africa LMS provides low-cost online master's degree programs to all students and assists universities to digitize their existing master's degree programs as well as help them develop new ones from scratch. For any enquiries and submission of expression of interest, please email us at info@elearnafricalms.com or aaulms@aau.org. Don't miss out on this opportunity for a global and online educational experience.
You're welcome back on AAU Talks, the voice of higher education in Africa. I'm here with the CEO for the eLearn Africa LMS and also a tech enthusiast, social entrepreneur, and also somebody who's pushed for tech access across the continent, the person of Mr. Brook Negussie. Brook, you're welcome to AAU Talks.
Thank you for having me, everyone.
Sure. You are not actually a new face. You've been with us over time. So actually you're back home. I mean, back your home
I'm back
platform
home.
where we discuss issues pertaining to what we all look forward to achieve here in Africa. And I know for 15 years, you've been a tech enthusiast, creating access to technology. And that's where eLearn Africa LMS emanated right from you because you saw the need to create that tech access for universities in Africa to take advantage of. How has it been thus far, bearing this dream and coming back to a place you love, Africa, to push it? How has the dream been like? Are you seeing fruits of this whole seed you planted? How's it been like thus far?
Wow, that's a great question. So I think the journey, and any time you start something that is new, is probably rigorous. I always say, your first 3 years are about purely investing and trying to understand the topography you're in. So it's a constant investment, time, value, money. Uh, we got into eLearn Africa for one simple reason, understanding the need of creating an online education platform. I think we're early, much earlier than most, but we saw a quick adoption rate into certificate programs. We saw a quick adoption into the eLearn Africa LMS, which I think there's a little bit over 100 institutions that use it throughout the continent. Um, and then we had success with online program development. So we recently launched a hybrid online MBA for Rhodes Business School. We're gearing to launch the Jala University's MBA. And by summer, I believe we'll launch University of Nigeria's Master's in Public Administration. So when you look back, the journey seems a lot shorter than it actually was, right? But what we've seen is that some key performances from universities throughout the continent, as if you've seen West and South Africa have been predominantly our markets.
Today you've actually sold your voice loud with everyone knowing right from what you believe in is to create access to technology for people who are marginalized, and you've done it to the best of your ability, and you believe that you can do more with it. Right on your dashboard, if you were to, I mean, tell what are some of the highlight moments that you want to share throughout the beginning of this program here in Africa from 2021 to now, what are some of the top highlights you can mention in terms of traction to the same stakeholders you here for?
Sure. I think some of the highlights have been how quickly some of the professors were able to put together content on the AAU eLearn Africa LMS
Mm.
during COVID, right, and disseminate. My one of my favorite highlights is probably creating a program for some 11,000 students
Mhm.
in financial management, right, where we had a 93% completion rate. I'm still very proud of that
Wow.
because that was incredible to see how quickly that was adapted to. And obviously, building a Pan-African MBA with Jala University has been a massive highlight. The Rhodes MBA is probably one of the best programs that I've seen, and I say that because I've also been involved on the European side of build online degrees,
Mhm.
but the Rhodes MBA Sustainable Development, I mean, bar none, it's a top university, it's a top program. So these are probably the highlights, and obviously our partnerships with the Association of African University have
Mm.
have been very supportive. So it's been a great journey.
Great. And I'm just when we're beginning the story of success, well, for you, and it accumulates down to the eLearn Summit, which is an amazing program you have on your realms. And we want to know more about the eLearn Summit. What's it all about?
The eLearn Summit is about instructional design, and our idea was, as we've been talking about proliferating online learning and not,
Hmm.
you know, it's about sharing, it's about cross collaboration, it's about sharing knowledge. So we decided that we needed to have a summit and defining what instructional design is. What
Hmm.
we've learned is um, many of our partners have learning management systems on top of AAU Learn Africa LMS. They maybe
Hmm.
are running Moodle, Canvas,
Hmm.
whom we're partnered with, and
Hmm.
as well as Blackboard. But it becomes a course repository as opposed to where they can create content.
Hmm.
So the idea is really simple, which is let's get everybody creating content, right? Let's get the content on a level where there's so much content out there that it's easily accessible to anybody. It becomes ubiquitous for you to be able to find that content.
Hmm.
So if it's an online degree, it's online certificate. I think I've been speaking with ministries about creating content for dissemination. So it's about instructional design, develop your
Hmm.
content,
Hmm.
figure out how to be inclusive in your content as well,
Hmm.
right? Uh, so this is finding also designing content with uh, a Pan-African design principle,
Hmm.
right? And then applying your best practice strategies into it. So we're very much looking forward to the summit.
Great. And one other question that keeps coming up with the e-learning is its adaptability and usage is about the user friendly and how open is it for people to also be original with the content. I don't know what advantage Elan Africa LMS stands within the midst of the other big names, the Moodles and co. What unique advantage does Elan Africa offer the universities that all these platforms may not be of at the same time? What would you want to say to that?
Yes, so we designed AU Learn Africa LMS specifically to meet our needs. And
Mm,
our needs are very simple in the sense that it's to create content so that, Ajuman, if you were not able to go to class, that content
hmm
would exist on a
hmm
platform, and it does
hmm
not take the professor, a couple hours. It's merely uploading the content, right? And you're marking it, and there you go, you have it. So it's done so that the adoption rate for AU Learn Africa LMS is easy, right? So that it was designed for Africa
hmm
by African purely. So
that sounds great of an advantage. For they can now add and drop whatever they want and make it original to suit themselves and for the target that they're looking for to give. And the summit seems to bring them all together to appreciate the instructional design on how they can get this on. And how do you want to roll it out? Is it going to be a month long, week long, virtual, physical? How are you rolling this out?
so the mode of the delivery for the summit is online. It is set up so that we are discussing instructional design, that we are discussing a collaborative way of sharing uh, on not just instructional design, but the main design aspects of it, and creating an inclusive uh, community, making sure that it is also inclusive for the community that is handicapped, that does
Mm,
not have access to go to school because the infrastructure just doesn't have a lot of allowances, and it is
mm,
quite uh, a large feat for somebody to go to university, and also for graduate students whom don't have to finish stop working to do their
mm,
education. So the whole idea is to figure all this out, talk about best practices and
mm,
strategies, right? And
mm,
create and establish a collaborative partnership with the attendees. So it's
mm,
about us sharing our knowledge. It's about partnership, cross collaboration,
mm.
and it's about solving an ongoing. I don't like to call it problem. I'd say an ongoing long mission because
Yeah,
uh, we're we're gonna I we're gonna leapfrog Anjuman
yeah,
as a continent, right?
yeah,
And you feel it.
yeah.
I mean, the energy is there, but you see it as well, right?
Sure.
So I think from an education perspective, once we do that leapfrog, we surpassed that Renaissance era to a digital era 100%.
Yeah.
And I like to say one other thing, which is internet is not our issue in the continent.
Yeah, it can be. That's an incredible one right there. I mean, 15
Yeah.
years plus you've been doing this, and you know your market and you know how to really penetrate and do better in. We'll just go for a break. We'll come back. We'll talk more about the modules within the e-learn summit and also how penetrating the African market to the zenith has been for e-learn Africa LMS and other things. Let's be right back. Stay with us.
Are you a student seeking to pursue a master's degree program but is constrained by location, time, or simply a hectic schedule? Are you a university or college unable to create or digitize your own master's degree programs due to expertise or funding constraints? AAU eLearn Africa LMS has the answer to all your online education needs. Develop your online master's degree programs now at a totally free cost on a platform that is highly customized and secured. The platform's analytic and proctoring feature, calendar with automatic alerts for activities and to-do list, automatic marking of tests in a variety of formats, optional peer review of rated assignments, plugin feature, and several more features are only a few of its important functionalities. With the availability of highly skilled and experienced instructional designers and other staff, universities are assured of online degree programs that meet international standards. Online education provides African universities with competitive positioning, scalable access, multiple nodes, multiple modes of communication, virtual collaboration, and a wider selection of programs. Consequently, online master's degree programs have become a viable option for higher education in Africa due to challenges such as infrastructure, graduate output, and lack of funding. Therefore, partnerships and collaboration between enterprises and academic institutions are needed. Admissions are open for the online degrees with Rhodes Business School South Africa and Njala University Sierra Leone. Also, institutions interested in partnering with us to develop their own online master's degree programs should submit an expression of interest. AAU eLearn Africa LMS provides low-cost online master's degree programs to all students and assists universities to digitize their existing master's degree programs as well as help them develop new ones from scratch. For any inquiries and submission of expression of interest, please email us at info@elearnafricalms.com or aaulms@aau.org. Don't miss out on this opportunity for a global and online educational experience.
You're welcome back on AAU Talks. If you just joined us, we're talking about the eLearn Africa Summit, and it's all about pushing the agenda of online learning, e-learning, and also using the platform eLearn Africa LMS. Been in the business for so many years, but Africa's time is, it's our time to also catch up and then build up and create our own content. And I'm working with the CEO for eLearn Africa LMS, Mr. Brook, on how to roll this out. And Brook, before we went on break, I was about to talk about this understanding the African market. I mean, right from your dashboard, you've been doing this for 50 years or more, and you appreciate all the ups and downs within the African market when it comes to adaptability of e-learning. What would you say today as the beam of the light right now? How is the light reading for you on your dashboard in terms of adaptability across the continent? And what gives you more zeal for you to push this mission? I like the way you call it a mission, not a challenge. You said it's a mission, and that's amazing. How is it for you now?
Much easier than it used to be. And I think when we started, we would be happy if we had a phone call returned. Where we are right now is that everybody understands online learning is a necessity. Everybody understands that online learning is the future, but not everybody understands how to deliver it, and they don't have the best practices in place.
Mm.
So I think that's where we are as a continent. Is we're there, but we need to figure out what are we designing, what are we providing, what are we delivering, right? So that's where we are with it.
I think we should actually open that box and look more into it. What you are standing from an expert point of view, what are you seeing as some of the red flags in what we are providing, and what can we do better?
Well, overspending. I think we're overspending on look, I'm going to be critical in a second, and not to sound critical, but I think we overspend. I think we tend to believe that we could buy tech stacks that are going to solve the problems, where really where we need to spend that is on human development. I think we need to spend that within those resources that we're spending for tech stacks that we barely use should really be spent on the human development within the team, right?
Mm,
So, and incorporating, evidence-based instructional design strategies,
mm,
because once you are able to build content uh, of excellence, right?
mm,
The delivery mode is very simple. That's not the most, to me, in my opinion, that's the least of our issues. But how do we personalize, right, the learning pathways for individuals, right?
mm,
And creating instructional designers, because that's a whole science on its own. And people
mhm,
think, I'll take the content in a PDF, put it up. No, it has to be. There's a tempo to it. There really is a science to instructional design,
mm,
which is tailoring the content to a diverse learning style as well, right?
mm,
So you,
mm,
you you're hitting all of the main tenets so that you keep your student engaged. Because if your student is not engaged, you're not going to get the completion rate. If you're
mhm,
not going to get the completion rate, then you're not going to have a success rate as a university,
mm,
right? So that's my worry. Then you will shelf online learning, you put it to the side,
mhm,
right? You blame it on the technology, but really where we
mhm,
need to spend the time and resources on right now is human development.
mm. Well, and that's very important when you've spoken over there in terms of identifying human development and not spending on platforms. If you were to advance in your campaigns all this while, what are some of the concerns you receive from these stakeholders in terms of the resistant factor, if there is any, or the acceptance factor, if there's any? What are some of the experiences thus far?
So experiences thus far have been incredible. The early adapters, I mean, have been phenomenal because they understood it, but they also understood what they did not know, right?
Mm,
So that creates a great collaboration. So you have your knowledge, they have their knowledge,
mm,
right? And you come together and you build this wonderful degree. It's a wonderful experience. And it's great to see professors when they're building it with our instructional designers, um, of all the things that they're learning and the
mhm,
comments and the feedbacks, right?
mhm,
And it's got an incredible energy. The resistance is not been much resistance. I think it's more of um, a lack of understanding on the science of instructional design,
mhm,
where I just explained where people think by putting up a few PDFs, a couple of
mhm,
links to a channel is what
mhm,
online learning is. It's much more intricate, and if you do it properly, you will get a high completion rate. And I know traditionally
mhm,
at
mhm,
schools throughout the continent, we try to make it hard for students, right? Um, in terms of succeeding at a course to get a top mark. I
yeah.
think instructional design and the way we're looking at it is let's make learning interactive, fun.
Mm,
But the key part of learning is the takeaways, so the student
mm,
walks away with knowledge. So
mm,
I think there's a much more enhanced experience in online learning than in class learning, especially at a graduate level, graduate
mm,
studies level.
mm. And advancing the e-learning summit would also call for some instructors to help create the understanding who is behind, or who's behind this instructional provision, who's doing this, who's providing that service for the stakeholders. Was it really is it you, or you have a team of experts who will be providing this kind of support to the stakeholders?
Yeah, so we have a wonderful team of instructional designers, and so we'll be explaining a little bit about eLearn Africa and eLearn LXD, which is our instructional design team. Uh,
Mm,
in total, I believe everybody, if you put everybody in combination, there's probably a good 30 years of experience in instructional design.
okay.
Uh, so the top and Ajuman, the whole idea when we built this team and the idea of instructional design was when you go online for an online degree, and I hate
Mhm,
to use Western examples
mhm,
because it's Pan-Africanist in me, but if we're going to compare apples to apples, right? If you look at
mhm,
any of the online degrees that we're building and have built, um, they're equal or better to the top, say, 10 universities in North America or in
mm,
Europe. So
mm,
when I look at the Rhodes MBA, internationally recognized, it was built by Africans in
mhm,
South Africa and our instructional design team.
mm,
So, but when I look at it, it's incredible, right? So it's we've not we've made it easy in the sense that we have been able to build specific programs so that they're the same level quality, if not better. Content wise, I believe they're better
mm,
because they're more current um, for 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 our constituents.
mm. And that's amazing when you say that this is also standing competing with some other international standards. And having such a very robust team in place, it's very amazing. These your stakeholders, which are African university leaders, vice chancellors, and co, would have to be part and understudy and adapt. What are some of what do you expect of these people? Do you intend to have them all rolled in, or you expect to have them all trickling gradually? Who are you expecting to have on board? Are you having a whole new sort of university leaders who you are bringing on board, or you are actually opening a call out there for them to join? Do you have your constituents ready, or you are yet looking forward to campaign them in to be part of the program?
So we have our constituents already, to be very frank, but we are looking at expanding instructional design,
Mm,
bringing more universities on board,
mm,
and really shaking it up to another level, right?
mm,
So I gave my respects to the University of Nigeria earlier in terms of Nigeria as being a quick adapter, right? But I think this online learning in Nigeria solves a problem, right? Students that can't get seats at universities now could have, you know, stay controlled from quality perspective, right? Because you do the quality assurance, um, but it solves problems. It solves problems on so many levels. So we're open. So to answer your question is that we're open. We have a Pan African MBA that we built that we're very proud of.
mm,
That gets everybody having the same conversation throughout the continent.
mm.
But it was designed by Pan Africanists, content wise, bar to none. So we look forward to having partners on the Pan African MBA.
Great. And one will call it learning optimally the African way. That's how I want to understand the Eden Africa mission, learning optimally the African way. And in the course of learning optimally the African way, um, is there is the door open for more initiators to come on board and say, we want to craft this unique content or learning content the African way? And is Eden Africa LMS willing to collaborate to develop more indigenous knowledge pathways? What's the point on this one?
Absolutely. So great point on that one, Ijuman. So we have with our MBA, the reason it's a true Pan African MBA, right?
Mm,
It's localized, and it's localized with local examples, right?
mm,
Um, so and it has examples from a local industry perspective. So it doesn't
mm,
matter if you're in Sierra Leone, in Kenya, right, in Mozambique, but it has current local examples so that
mm,
you understand it from your perspective, your local perspective, right?
mm,
So I think that's one of the most important things is that we can relate to what we're learning, right?
mm. And with this agenda, it seems to be one of the biggest strengths of Elen Africa LMS, where you are able to help shape or create content right from the African continent and make it a continental or global program for people to learn. Um, does eLearn Africa LMS have ambassadors across the continent who are championing the cause of e-learning and giving reasons why universities must buy the idea and be curators of their own academic pathway? Is there any agenda of the sort? Is there any preparation or ideal vision to create coordinative ambassadors across the continent, also pushing the agenda that you have right here?
So we've been working on the ambassadorship program for quite some time,
Mm,
and it's for us, it's important to create the ambassadorship with students from African universities.
Mm,
Um, and one of the key parts there is by them creating small content on why online learning is important from a local perspective, right?
mm,
So that they can champion the whole, mission of online learning.
mm.
So
The argument is that students have a voice, but university leaders have a much louder voice. So,
correct.
well, I appreciate the fact that we're prioritizing students because they are the end users of this whole system. They have
Yep.
a testimony to tell. But is there any approach to also target top university leaders who also become of champions, patrons, who would then circle the whole idea amongst the core leaders across their level? Is there any efforts thus far on that one?
So our main efforts have been always led with our partnership with the Association of African Universities.
Okay.
We do call outs, we do and so forth. And we've had a great response. But what you're speaking about is something we've been working on from a student perspective, not
Mm.
about and absolutely, you're absolutely correct because end of the day, the decision is made with the DVC, right?
Yeah.
And the head of IT. And I've seen enough. I've seen enough quarreling of DVCs and IT departments. So
I
um,
agree.
no, but no, we look. We have a long road ahead of us.
Yeah,
It's an incredible journey. And I think what we'll see over the next 5 years are going to be mind blowing. So I'm looking forward to them, and I'm
sure.
consider us blessed to be part of this, all of us at this time of this era in the continent, right?
Yeah. So one thing we want to know is when exactly is the summit starting and how long will it last? Is it for a month or 2 months? So let us know more about the event and when it's starting and how long it will last.
We will hopefully be running the summit on a monthly basis moving forward,
Mm,
and we look forward to professors, vice chancellors, deputy vice chancellors, heads of IT throughout the continent to join the summit.
mm.
And this is how we get to I think our idea of what's going to happen over the next 5 years.
Great, great. And when you kick it off this year, will we have another one this year, or will we to have an annual summit where this discussion will be had, will be had? I mean, on and on. How do you intend to roll it out?
We will have many small, like I say, conversations and summits and webinars to follow up on what we started off on the 21st.
Mm,
Because looking at instructional design, that there's so many different things that we'll be adding on, and we just want to share the knowledge at this point. It's important to share the knowledge. It's important for us to um, make sure that those LMSs that are being used as course repositories are being used to develop online content that's pertinent for their constituents. And it's okay if they're not using eLearn Africa for that, but if we can share our knowledge and they could develop it even better.
absolutely. So, nice people who are watching. That is Mr. Brook Negussie, CEO, Eden Africa LMS. He has a dream, and the dream is to expand and create more access technology in the African continent. We understand that we have a gap in terms of our technology traction rates, and we need to catch up. And he's one of the few people who are dedicated through his Eden Africa LMS to promote the access. So we all, wherever you are, irrespective, you can also be up and going when it comes to tech and learning. And so, Brooke, thank you so much for your time on AAU Talks and also your mission. Yeah. And one thing you mentioned today, I believe everybody else out there, is that we don't see issues, we don't see problems, we call it a mission. In the mission statements, these are filings of, let's say, setbacks. We call it the mission package. And that's what Brooke believes in, that it's a mission that he has in Africa to extend technology and access to learning electronically. So everybody who is a constituent stakeholder within this region, you have to stand up and also look at the mission and be part of the success story. I believe you have a great team. You mentioned your team, great, awesome group of team. And I believe they're also inspired that they believe it's a mission, not a problem or a challenge. And they will rally behind you to get this mission or to the way of achieving every single one of the objectives. So it's been a great time with you on AAU Talks. It's always fun talking to you because we get to appreciate some of the continent's goals, your goals as well, and how we have to catch up. And that's what time affords us on AAU Talks. So we look forward to experience the eLearn Summit coming up 21st March, and also more afterwards with webinars and co. And when next we can have a physical presence. I'd like to see all the stakeholders under one roof so we can have a conversation about eLearn Africa Summit and a whole lot more. So if you just watched this AAU Talks, the voice of higher education in Africa, my name is Ajiman Otrodako. Until I come your way next time, be safe, take care, and bye.